The report analyzes the future of the global job market and predicts changes to employment, skills, and business strategies from 2023 to 2027. It examines key macro trends impacting labor markets, including the ongoing effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, climate change, and technological advancements. The report also highlights the expected impact of these trends on various industries and explores the workforce strategies businesses are implementing in response to these changes. Finally, it identifies skills gaps and talent acquisition challenges as major barriers to business transformation and discusses the need for upskilling and reskilling initiatives.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going beyond those typical headlines about, AIs stealing jobs and all that.
Right.
We're diving into the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs Report 2023. They surveyed over 800 companies, representing a massive 11 million workers. So this isn't just some theoretical think piece,
Right.
It's based on real-world data.
Yeah, and what I think is so fascinating about this report is they don't just predict the future.
Right.
They actually break down why certain jobs are growing or declining, what skills are becoming, really essential, and even how companies are adapting their strategies to kind of prepare for these changes.
Okay, so before we get into those fascinating details, paint a picture of the global job market right now.
Okay.
What are some of the key trends the report highlights?
Well, it's a bit of a mixed bag, actually.
Okay.
In many high-income countries,
Yeah.
Job markets are booming, unemployment is low, even dipping below pre-pandemic levels in some cases.
Wow.
But that's not the universal story.
Right.
Developing economies are having a much tougher time recovering.
Yeah.
Unemployment remains high, and so that uneven recovery is creating, some unique challenges, but also some opportunities.
So it's not as simple as robots are taking all the jobs. It's a lot more nuanced than that.
It is.
But the report doesn't just focus on these macro trends. It gets into the human side of things, too.
Absolutely.
Right.
It really highlights specific areas where labor shortages are already hitting hard.
Okay.
For instance, in Europe, there's a huge lack of nurses, plumbers, even software developers.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And these shortages aren't just statistics. They have a real impact on people's lives.
Yeah, it definitely drives home the point that continuous learning is key no matter what your field is.
Yeah.
The skills in demand today might not be the ones needed tomorrow.
Right.
And speaking of uneven impacts, the report also points out that women and young workers got hit harder by the pandemic, and their recovery has been slower.
That's right. And I think the report makes it really clear that this isn't just an economic issue. It's a social one as well.
Yeah.
And these are the kinds of insights that can help us, advocate for policies and initiatives that support those who are most vulnerable in this kind of shifting job landscape.
Okay, so we've set the scene.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the forces shaping the future.
Okay.
What are the key trends the report identifies that'll impact the jobs of tomorrow?
So think of them as kind of powerful currents pushing and pulling the workforce in different directions.
Okay.
We've got economic headwinds, rising living costs, slower economic growth, and those, lingering supply chain issues.
Right.
So businesses are facing a lot of uncertainty, and that will inevitably impact their hiring and workforce strategies.
Definitely not the most stable environment to be navigating.
Right.
So what else is on the horizon besides those economic challenges?
Well, geopolitical shifts and the reality of climate change are leading to more localized supply chains. So this reshaping of global trade will definitely create some winners and losers in the job market.
So the way we work is becoming more localized in a sense.
Yeah, in a way.
What are the potential upsides and downsides of that shift?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
On the one hand, it could lead to more resilient and sustainable economies. On the other hand, it could also lead to job losses.
Right.
In industries that really rely on global trade.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets interesting. The green transition, while disruptive, is also creating a whole new wave of job opportunities.
So it's not all doom and gloom.
Right.
For those concerned about climate change. This could be a turning point for them to find careers that are more aligned with their values.
Absolutely. Think renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, green building, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
And of course, we can't forget about the tech revolution that's already underway.
Right.
AI, big data, cloud computing, and automation are all transforming the workplace at an incredible pace.
Okay, so how do we move past that simplistic robots are taking our jobs narrative?
Yeah.
What does the report actually say about how these technologies will impact jobs?
It's more nuanced than just, replacing humans.
Right.
Yes, some jobs will inevitably be automated, particularly those involving kind of routine tasks.
Right.
But these same technologies are also creating new jobs that we haven't even imagined yet.
Yeah.
So it's this constant dance between disruption and creation. And the key is to understand which jobs are most likely to be impacted.
Yeah.
And how we can adapt our skills to stay ahead of the curve.
So it's about understanding the trends and then figuring out how to ride the wave instead of getting wiped out.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But let's get practical here.
Okay.
The report mentions this concept of jobs on the rise.
Yes.
Give us the inside scoop on those.
Right.
Which specific roles are seeing the most growth?
It's a fascinating list.
Okay.
Topping the charts are sales growth and customer engagement roles. Think sales development representatives, directors of growth, those kinds of positions. And it shows that even in our, increasingly digital world, building relationships and connecting with customers is more crucial than ever.
So people skills are still a hot commodity.
Oh, yeah.
That's good to hear. But what other roles are in high demand?
Right behind those sales-focused roles are human resources and talent acquisition positions.
Okay.
With all this job churn and the scramble for skilled workers.
Right.
Companies need really talented people to kind of manage it all. And of course, technology and IT roles remain strong.
Right.
They're constant on the jobs on the rise list.
Yeah.
Which isn't surprising given how rapidly tech is being adopted across industries.
Yeah, it's amazing how the report connects these macro trends to specific job categories, giving us a real glimpse into the future.
Right.
But let's flip the script now.
All right.
Which jobs are on the decline?
The report predicts that clerical and secretarial roles will experience the most significant decline.
Okay.
Think bank tellers, postal service clerks. It's not hard to see how automation will continue to impact these types of roles, which often involve a high volume of repetitive tasks.
Okay, so we've got job growth on one end, decline on the other.
Right.
But what about those game-changing technologies like robots and AI?
Yeah.
Which industries are leading the charge in adopting them?
The report identifies electronics, energy technology, and utilities and consumer goods as the industries poised to be the biggest adopters of robots.
Interesting.
And it's not just about job displacement. The report highlights a fascinating trend.
Okay.
While non-humanoid robots are predicted to displace jobs in sectors like consumer goods and oil and gas, they're also expected to create jobs in information and technology services.
So it's not just a simple case of robots replacing humans.
No.
It's more about how different industries are leveraging these technologies in unique ways. Exactly.
It's about understanding the nuances of how robots and AI are being implemented and the ripple effects they have on different sectors.
All right, so we've covered the current job market,
the
forces driving change.
Yep.
Now let's dive into the specifics of how all this translates into the actual jobs of the future.
Yep.
The report delves into 7 job clusters, right?
Yes.
I think that's where things get really interesting, where we can start to visualize how these trends are reshaping entire categories of jobs.
Right.
Each cluster is experiencing kind of similar patterns of growth or decline, giving us a roadmap of where the future of work is headed.
Exactly.
Okay, let's start with sales marketing and content creation.
Yep.
What's the story there?
So this cluster is experiencing significant growth.
Okay.
Largely fueled by the digitalization of commerce, as more and more business happens online.
Right.
The skills needed to reach customers and build relationships are evolving too.
Yeah.
And roles like digital marketers and content creators are becoming increasingly valuable.
It's almost like a whole new language of marketing has emerged.
It is.
With the rise of the digital world.
Exactly. Speaking of digital languages, the next cluster is data and AI.
Okay.
Which is also experiencing explosive growth as data becomes more and more central to decision-making. Companies need people who can analyze it, develop intelligent algorithms, and protect their digital assets. So we're talking about a surge in demand for roles like data scientists, AI developers, and cybersecurity specialists.
Data really is the new oil, as they say.
It is.
So if you're tech savvy, it sounds like the future is bright.
Yeah.
But what about those who are more creatively inclined? What does the report say about their future prospects?
That's where the product development cluster comes in.
Okay.
Businesses are always looking for ways to innovate. And they need talented individuals to bring those new products and services to life. And so we're seeing growth in roles like product managers and UX designers who are skilled in combining creative thinking with technical know-how to create user-friendly and engaging products.
It's amazing how technology is not only changing what we do,
Right.
but also how we do it.
Absolutely. Now, shifting gears a little bit to the people and culture cluster.
Okay.
This one focuses on the human side of business as companies navigate this, rapidly changing landscape.
Yeah.
They need professionals who can manage talent, build strong cultures, and support employee well-being.
Yeah.
And so roles like human resources specialists and talent acquisition professionals are in high demand.
So even in a tech-driven world, human connection and support are still paramount.
Absolutely. And for those who are passionate about addressing the climate crisis, the energy transition and climate change mitigation cluster is where it's at.
Okay.
The global shift toward a greener economy is driving demand for roles in renewable energy, sustainability, and environmental protection.
Right.
So this cluster is a hotbed of opportunity for those who want to align their careers with their values and make a real difference in the world.
That's inspiring to hear. It shows that there are career paths emerging that can help us tackle the challenges facing our planet.
Exactly.
What about the final cluster, education?
Okay.
What does the report say about the future of teaching?
You might think this one would be on the decline with the rise of online learning and all that.
Right.
But the report actually predicts growth in jobs for teachers.
Wow.
Especially in vocational education.
Okay.
And this makes sense when you consider the increasing need for skilled workers in those rapidly evolving fields we've been discussing.
Yeah, so even with all this technological advancement, the role of human educators is still vitally important.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is that the report goes beyond just the quantity of jobs.
Okay.
It delves into the specific skills that are going to be essential for success in these roles. Yeah. It's not just about what you know. It's about how you learn, how you adapt, and how you apply your knowledge in an ever-changing world.
All right, bring on the skills discussion. I'm ready to hear what the report says about the must-have skills for the future.
Well, buckle up, because it's not just about mastering one or two specific skills.
Okay.
It's about developing a combination of cognitive abilities, technological literacy, and what the report calls self-efficacy skills.
Self-efficacy skills.
Yes.
That sounds intriguing. Tell me more.
So think of them as the secret sauce for navigating a world that's becoming increasingly complex and unpredictable.
Okay.
We're talking about resilience, flexibility, motivation, and that crucial ability to learn and adapt throughout your career. It's no longer enough to just be good at your job. You need to be able to evolve with it.
So it's not just about being a coding whiz. It's about being able to roll with the punches and embrace lifelong learning.
Exactly. The report highlights that cognitive skills, like creative and analytical thinking, are becoming even more critical as automation takes over those routine, repetitive tasks. Machines can follow instructions, but humans excel at coming up with those innovative ideas and solutions.
Okay, now I'm really starting to worry about a robot taking my job.
Don't worry. Your wit and humor are irreplaceable.
I'm good.
But on a serious note, the report also stresses the importance of technological literacy.
Okay.
Particularly in areas like AI and big data.
Yeah.
And while we don't all need to become programmers,
right,
having a basic understanding of these technologies is becoming increasingly important in almost every field.
So we need to at least be able to speak the language of technology, even if we're not fluent coders.
Precisely. And the report shows that companies are prioritizing training in these areas, recognizing that a tech-savvy workforce is crucial for their future success.
All right, so this is all incredibly valuable information. But I'm curious, are companies just talking about this stuff, or are they actively implementing strategies to adapt to these changes? What does the report say about how they're approaching this new world of work?
They're definitely not just standing still.
Okay, good.
The report reveals several workforce strategies that companies are adopting to stay ahead of the curve.
Okay.
And one of the most prominent is investing in learning and training programs.
Okay.
Companies are realizing that upskilling and reskilling their employees isn't just a nice perk anymore.
Right.
It's essential for survival.
So it makes more sense to nurture their existing talent rather than constantly scrambling to find new people with the skills they need.
Exactly. And speaking of talent, many companies are shifting towards skills-based hiring.
Okay.
Recognizing that a college degree doesn't always tell the whole story. They're looking for evidence of those in-demand skills.
Right.
Whether it comes from traditional education, online courses, or real-world experience.
So experience and proven skills are becoming more valuable than just a fancy piece of paper.
It's definitely a trend to watch.
Interesting.
And of course, let's not forget the rise of remote and hybrid work.
Right.
The pandemic accelerated this trend.
Yeah.
And many companies are embracing the flexibility it offers.
Right.
Both for their employees and their ability to tap into a wider talent pool.
It feels like the world of work is becoming less about where you are and more about what you can do.
Right.
But before we get too carried away with all these exciting possibilities, is there anything in the report that raises some red flags? Any potential downsides to all these changes?
There are a few things that are worth noting. One detail that caught my eye is the fact that companies are increasingly turning to internal training solutions rather than relying on external providers.
So they're bringing learning in-house.
It seems so.
What's the thinking behind that?
Well, it seems like they're trying to create more tailored and targeted training programs. That specifically address the skills gaps they're facing within their own organizations. But here's the catch. Despite all these investments in training, companies are still struggling to fully bridge those skills gaps.
Oh, wow.
The report reveals that only 41% of workers have received training that effectively address those gaps.
So even with all these efforts, there's still a disconnect between what companies need and what employees are getting in terms of training.
Exactly. And this highlights the need for ongoing evaluation and improvement of training programs to ensure they're truly effective in preparing workers for the demands of the future.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like I'm starting to see the future of work in a whole new light.
Me too.
But before we move on, what are some of the key takeaways from the report so far? Why should our listeners care about all this?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that the job market is undergoing a major transformation, driven by forces like technology globalization and the green transition.
Right.
And this transformation presents both challenges and opportunities.
Yeah.
You know, those who are adaptable, embrace lifelong learning, and develop in-demand skills will be the ones who thrive in this new world of work.
So we can't just sit back and wait for things to happen.
Right.
We need to be proactive about our careers and constantly be learning and growing.
Absolutely. And here's a thought-provoking question for our listeners to consider.
Okay.
The report emphasizes the importance of those self-efficacy skills, like resilience and adaptability. What steps are you taking to cultivate those skills?
Yeah.
And how do you think they will benefit you in the years to come?
That's a great question to leave our listeners with as we wrap up part 1 of our deep dive into the future of jobs.
Right.
We've explored the current landscape, the forces driving change, those hot jobs on the rise, and the skills that will be in demand. In part 2, we'll delve deeper into the report's findings and explore some of those surprising and thought-provoking details.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with more insights into how you can navigate this evolving world of work and shape your own future.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the future of jobs.
We've covered a lot of ground in part 1.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to unpack in this report.
I'm ready to go deeper. I'm especially curious about this concept of structural labor market churn that the report highlights. What exactly does that mean, and why should we care?
It's basically a fancy way of saying that the job market is going through a major shakeup.
Okay.
It's not just about the total number of jobs. It's about how those jobs are changing, disappearing, and being created.
Right.
The report estimates a 23% churn over the next 5 years.
Wow. 23%.
That's nearly a quarter of all jobs globally.
That's a massive shift. So even if the overall number of jobs stays relatively stable, certain roles are going to be in high demand while others kind of fade away.
Exactly. Think of it like shuffling a deck of cards. You still have the same 52 cards, but the order is completely different.
Right.
And this churn isn't happening uniformly across industries. Some are expected to see more dramatic shifts than others.
So which industries are predicted to experience the most churn? And what does that mean for those who are currently working in those fields?
The report points to supply chain and transportation and media, entertainment, and sports as the industries likely to see the most disruption. Which makes sense considering how much technology and globalization are impacting these sectors.
Right.
On the flip side, manufacturing,
Okay.
and the retail and wholesale of consumer goods are predicted to see less dramatic shifts, at least in terms of overall job numbers.
It's fascinating how these global trends play out differently across industries.
It is.
But with all this job creation and destruction happening,
Yeah.
I'm curious about the net effect.
Okay.
Does the report predict a net gain or loss of jobs globally?
This is where it gets interesting.
Okay.
Based on their analysis, the report predicts a slight net decrease of 14 million jobs globally
Okay.
by 2027.
Wait, a net loss. That's not what I was expecting to hear.
Yeah.
I thought all those new tech jobs were supposed to make up for the losses in other areas.
It's important to remember that this is just a prediction,
Okay.
and a lot can happen between now and 2027. Think about it this way.
Mm-hmm.
The report is like a weather forecast.
Okay.
It gives us a sense of what's likely to happen.
Yeah.
But it's not a guarantee.
Right.
The actual outcome could be very different.
Yeah.
Depending on various factors like policy decisions, unexpected technological breakthroughs, and global economic conditions.
So it's not a reason to panic,
No.
but it's definitely a call to action to be prepared
Yes.
and adaptable.
Exactly. We need to be proactive, not reactive.
Okay.
And speaking of being proactive,
Yeah.
let's revisit those 7 job clusters we touched on in part 1.
Okay.
Remember sales, marketing, and content creation,
Yes.
data and AI,
Uh-huh.
engineering, and cloud computing.
Of course, I'm eager to hear what the report reveals about how those specific areas are evolving.
Let's start with sales, marketing, and content creation.
Okay.
As we discussed, this cluster is seeing strong growth due to the rise of digital platforms and e-commerce.
Right.
But it's not just about mastering the technical aspects of digital marketing.
Uh-huh.
The report highlights the growing importance of creativity, adaptability, and emotional intelligence in this field.
So even in a world dominated by algorithms and data,
Right.
those human skills are still critical for success.
Absolutely. Companies are looking for people who can analyze data,
Yeah.
craft compelling content, and build genuine relationships with customers.
Right.
It's that human touch that sets successful marketers apart from the bots.
Yeah, it's that blend of data-driven insights and human intuition that's going to be so valuable.
Exactly.
What about the data and AI cluster?
Okay.
What specific skills are in high demand there?
Unsurprisingly, technical skills are paramount in this field.
Okay.
We're talking proficiency in programming languages, machine learning algorithms,
Yep.
data visualization tools,
Right.
and cybersecurity best practices.
Okay.
But the report also emphasizes the importance of soft skills,
Okay.
like communication, collaboration, and critical thinking.
So it's not just about being a coding genius. It's
Yeah.
about being able to translate complex technical concepts
Right.
into language that everyone can understand
Uh-huh.
and work effectively in teams.
Exactly. And those same soft skills are equally important in the engineering and cloud computing cluster.
Okay.
As businesses migrate their infrastructure to the cloud, they need skilled engineers who can design, build, and maintain those complex systems.
Right.
But again, it's not just about technical prowess. It's about communication, problem solving,
Right.
and adaptability to new technologies.
Yeah, the cloud is constantly evolving.
It is.
So engineers need to be nimble and embrace lifelong learning to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how technology is driving job creation, but also raising the bar for the skills required to succeed in those roles.
It is.
What about the product development cluster?
Yeah, okay.
What insights does the report offer there?
This cluster is all about innovation, turning ideas into tangible products and services.
Right.
Companies are looking for individuals who can think outside the box
Yeah.
and apply their creativity to solve real-world problems.
Okay.
Skills like user research design thinking and project management are essential in this field.
So it's a combination of creativity, technical skills, and business acumen.
It is.
It sounds like a pretty demanding but exciting field to be in.
Yes.
What about the people and culture cluster?
Okay.
How is that one changing?
This cluster is the heart of any successful organization.
Right.
It's about creating a positive and supportive work environment where employees can thrive.
Okay.
As the world of work becomes increasingly complex and fast-paced,
Yeah.
the role of people and culture professionals is becoming even more critical.
Right.
They're responsible for attracting and retaining top talent, fostering diversity and inclusion,
Right.
promoting employee well-being,
Yeah.
and navigating the complexities of hybrid and remote work arrangements.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Skills like communication, empathy, conflict resolution, and change management are essential in this field.
It sounds like they're the glue that holds everything together.
In a way, yes.
What about the energy transition and climate change mitigation cluster?
Okay.
What's happening there?
This cluster is exploding with growth.
Wow.
Fueled by the urgency of the climate crisis.
Right.
Companies are investing heavily in renewable energy sustainable practices and green technologies.
Yeah.
We're seeing a surge in demand for engineers, scientists, policy analysts, project managers, and communicators who can develop and implement innovative solutions to reduce our environmental impact.
Yeah.
This cluster offers incredible opportunities for those who want to align their careers with their values and make a real difference in the world.
It's truly inspiring to see how this global challenge is creating new career paths and possibilities.
Yes.
What about the final cluster education?
Okay.
What does the report say about the future of teaching?
As we discussed earlier, the report actually predicts growth in jobs for teachers, particularly in vocational education. This is likely driven by the need for skilled workers in those rapidly evolving fields we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And while technology is transforming the way we learn,
Right.
the role of human educators remains vitally important.
Right.
Teachers who can foster critical thinking, problem-solving, creativity, and adaptability will continue to be in high demand.
It's reassuring to know that even in a tech-driven world,
Yeah,
the human element of education is still valued.
absolutely.
But with all this talk about skills, I'm curious,
Okay.
what specific skills are companies prioritizing for training?
Okay.
Where are they investing their resources to prepare their workforce for the future?
The report provides some fascinating insights into those training priorities.
Okay.
Analytical thinking tops the list,
Okay.
followed closely by creative thinking.
So it's all about brain power.
Exactly. And it makes sense.
Yeah.
Given the increasing complexity of the challenges we're facing and the need for innovative solutions.
Right.
Coming in at number 3 is training in AI and big data,
Okay.
further reinforcing the importance of these technologies.
It seems like companies are doubling down on their workforce's ability to think critically, creatively, and technologically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's not just about those hard skills.
Okay.
The report also highlights the importance of training in leadership and social influence, resilience, flexibility and agility and curiosity, and lifelong learning.
So it's about developing a well-rounded skill set
Yeah,
that encompasses both the technical and the human aspects of work.
precisely. And what's really encouraging is that companies are seeing a return on their investment
Okay.
in these training programs. 2/3 of companies expect to see a return within a year,
Wow.
whether it's through increased cross-role mobility, higher worker satisfaction, or enhanced productivity.
That's great to hear. It shows that investing in employee development isn't just a feel-good initiative.
Right.
It's a smart business strategy.
It's a win-win.
Right.
But there's one more important message the report emphasizes.
Okay.
It's not just about chasing a specific job title.
Okay.
It's about developing a versatile skill set that can be applied across different roles and industries. That's what will determine your future employability.
So it's about building a portfolio of skills that makes you adaptable
Yes.
and valuable in a rapidly changing job market.
Exactly. The report encourages us to think about the skills we already possess that are in high demand
Yeah.
and the areas where we might need to upskill or reskill
Right.
to stay ahead of the curve.
Right. But with all this emphasis on acquiring new skills, I'm curious, are there any skills that the report identifies as being in decline? Are there any areas where we might want to reconsider investing our time and energy?
That's a great question, and the report's answer might surprise you.
Okay.
They actually found that no skills were seen as being in net decline.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So there's nothing we should stop learning?
Well, not exactly.
Okay.
While no skills were in decline overall, the report noted that the importance of some skills, like reading, writing, and mathematics, is growing less rapidly than others.
So it's not that those foundational skills are becoming obsolete.
Right.
It's just that other skills are becoming more important more quickly.
Exactly. It's all about relative growth.
Okay.
And it highlights the dynamic nature of the skills landscape.
Right.
What's in high demand today might not be as critical tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's essential to stay informed and be adaptable.
This is all such valuable information. Are there any other interesting or unexpected details from the report that you think our listeners should know about?
There are a few nuggets that I think are particularly intriguing.
Okay.
For instance, did you know that the report predicts significant growth for agricultural equipment operators?
Agricultural equipment operators.
Yeah.
That's not a job I would have expected to see on the rise.
Right.
I thought automation was taking over agriculture as well.
It's definitely a bit unexpected, but when you consider factors like the increasing demand for food production,
Okay.
the push for more sustainable agriculture,
Uh-huh.
and the potential impact of more localized supply chains, it starts to make sense.
So even those seemingly traditional jobs are being impacted by these global trends.
They are.
Any other surprises?
There's one more detail that I found particularly thought-provoking.
Okay.
The report highlights that despite companies' best efforts to upskill and reskill their workforce,
Uh-huh.
there's still a significant portion of employees whose training needs are not being met.
Oh, wow.
They estimate that around 27% of workers will require training that is either not accessible until 2027 or not accessible at all in the foreseeable future.
So even with all this investment in training,
Right.
there's still a gap between the skills that are needed and the training that's available.
Exactly. And this raises an important question.
Okay.
What can be done to bridge this gap and ensure that all workers have access to the training they need to thrive in the future?
Yeah.
It's a challenge that requires collaboration between businesses,
Uh-huh.
governments, educational institutions,
Right.
and individuals themselves.
This conversation has been a whirlwind of insights.
It has.
It's clear that the future of work is full of both challenges and opportunities.
Yes.
I feel like I have a much better understanding of the trends shaping the job market, the skills that will be in demand, and the actions we can take to prepare.
That's what we hope to achieve with this deep dive.
Yeah.
And remember, the future is not set in stone.
Right.
It's being shaped by the choices we make today.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the future of jobs.
It's been quite a journey, you
Yeah.
know? Exploring the trends, the challenges, and those exciting opportunities
Right.
emerging in the world of work.
My head is buzzing with all the insights from the Future of Jobs Report 2023.
Yeah.
It's like we've been given a sneak peek into what work will look like in 2027.
I know. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
And remember, this isn't just about, abstract predictions.
Right.
The report is grounded in real-world data from hundreds of companies representing millions of workers globally.
So it's not some futuristic fantasy. This is based on what's already happening in businesses around the world.
Exactly. And what strikes me is that the future of work isn't some predetermined path. It's being shaped by the choices we make today.
So it's not about passively waiting to see what happens.
Right.
It's about actively taking control and shaping our own future.
Absolutely. The report highlights that individuals, businesses, and governments all have a role to play in navigating this transformation.
Okay, let's break down those roles. What can individuals do to prepare for the future of work?
Well, as we've discussed throughout this deep dive,
Yeah.
continuous learning and upskilling are no longer optional. They're essential
Right.
for staying relevant and competitive in the job market. It's about identifying those in-demand skills
Yeah.
and actively seeking opportunities to develop them.
So we can't just rely on our employers to provide all the training we need.
Right.
We need to be proactive and take ownership of our own development.
Exactly. And remember, learning doesn't have to be confined to formal education or training programs.
Right.
It's about embracing a mindset of lifelong learning and seeking out opportunities from diverse sources.
So reading books, listening to podcasts, taking online courses, attending industry events.
Yes.
Even just having conversations with people in different fields.
Right.
It's all about expanding our knowledge and horizons.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the importance of those self-efficacy skills we talked about.
Right.
Resilience, adaptability, motivation, and the ability to learn and adapt quickly will be crucial for navigating the inevitable twists and turns of the future job market.
So it's not just about what you know, it's about how you learn, how you adapt to change, and how you bounce back from setbacks.
Now let's shift our focus to businesses.
Okay.
What role do they play in shaping the future of work?
Well, it seems like they have a responsibility to invest in their workforce.
Yes.
And provide those opportunities for upskilling and reskilling that we've been discussing.
Absolutely. And the report shows that many companies are stepping up to the plate. They're recognizing that investing in their employees' development is not just the right thing to do.
Right.
It's a smart business strategy.
It's about creating a win-win where both the company and its employees benefit
Right.
from that investment in growth.
Exactly. And beyond training,
Yeah.
businesses also have a crucial role in fostering a positive and supportive work environment
Okay.
where employees feel valued, respected, and empowered to do their best work.
So creating a culture that attracts and retains top talent is key.
Precisely. And that includes embracing flexible work arrangements, promoting diversity and inclusion,
Right.
and prioritizing employee well-being.
So it's about recognizing that people are a company's most valuable asset.
Yes.
And creating an environment where they can thrive.
Now, finally, let's talk about the role of governments in shaping the future of work.
Okay.
What do you think their role is?
It seems like they need to create policies and initiatives that support both workers and businesses in navigating this transformation.
Absolutely. This includes investing in education and training programs, providing support for displaced workers,
Right.
fostering innovation and entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
and creating a regulatory environment that encourages job creation and economic growth.
So governments need to lay the groundwork for a future of work that is both prosperous and inclusive.
Well said. It's about creating a framework that allows individuals and businesses to adapt, innovate, and thrive in this rapidly evolving landscape.
This deep dive has been incredibly insightful.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
I feel like I have a much clearer understanding of the forces shaping the future of work, the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead, and the actions we can take to prepare.
And remember, the future isn't predetermined. It's being shaped by the choices we make today.
Yeah.
So let's choose to be proactive, adaptable, and resilient.
Okay.
And let's work together to create a future of work that benefits everyone.
That's a powerful message to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the future of jobs.
You're welcome.
We hope you found it as valuable and thought-provoking as we have.
And to our listeners, we encourage you to continue exploring this topic.
Yes.
To engage in conversations about the future of work, and to take those steps to shape your own future.
Right.
Remember, you hold the power to navigate these changes
and
create a fulfilling and successful career in the years to come.
Beautifully said. That's it for this episode of The Deep Dive.
All right.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.